Baldur's Gate is getting a new fan-made expansion soon. Then Josh takes on the Kessel Run in Star Wars Outlaws. Everything is in Xbox, including the ROG Ally and the MetaQuest 3S. Abiotic Factor comes out in 1.0 very soon. Rockstar is updating Red Dead Redemption 2 before we even get GTA 6. World of Warcraft is killing add-on support and can be played with a single finger. Also, we've got a trailer and some info on the Expanse Osiris Reborn. And hey, it's your last chance to stop killing games.
Hi, this is Nick here, and this Inulauda may not Sasuke Belta, but I do know a good game when I see one.
Hi, I'm Josh, and Microsoft is canceling a bunch of games, but at least we're getting Halo again.
And I'm Andy. This is Video Game Tango. Welcome back, everybody.
We're here. It turns out our paper's checked out. So here we are.
Here we are.
Just barely. Yeah, no, the devil put crystals in me, and we had to take a break.
Mm-hmm. Damn,
so,
yeah, the devil's crystals.
The devil's crystals. We got some video game news to get through, and we got a lot because we do. We've been gone a month, so we've cherry picked some of the.
Now it sounds like you have a drug problem.
Yeah,
the devil's crystals. We've been gone a month.
Look, it took a whole month of video game news for us to find a handful of articles that weren't sad to talk about.
To be quite honest, that's true, and we're going to talk about some sad stuff. So.
Yeah. Some of us sneak in. But before then, I do have some exciting news.
Woo!
I don't know about you three. I really enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3. I did not finish it.
No, I made it to Act 3 3 times, though.
I made it to Act 3, and I had burnout, and a huge part of me wants to go back, wants to play it. It's just so hard for me to redo that stuff.
Yeah.
But something that might get me to boot it back up is some new news on the very first custom campaign mod, full-scale mod called, The Path to Menzoberranzan. This is being created by Lotric and Tomobamba, the project lead and lead writer, respectively, who have been working on what I gather at least 2 years around there on this mod. That is a full, complete, expansion-sized mod that will take you from the start in Athkatla down near and Joaquin's Promenade, all the way to Menzoberranzan itself, the dark, deep undercity of the Drow. This mod, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Completely new handmade models. They've rebuilt, if you remember Athkatla from the older Baldur's Gate, the whole town is there. All the companions are going to be brand new. It's all fully voice acted from what I read. New items, new animations, full storyline. And this is being written by the two people. One of them has played every single Baldur's Gate game and has been playing them off and on his whole life. The other one has been a director for movies and lead writer on a lot of actual big products. They have a whole team behind them. And they've just reading through the few articles where they get interviewed, you can tell they're nerds. They open with one of the biggest problems is that Athkatla is 6,000 miles away from Menzoberranzan. Menzoberranzan is also underground. So it's like, we got to get you from here to there, right?
Right.
But yeah, since they released their modding tools, Larian Studios, these guys were off almost day one. They said, one of them said, this feels like the mod they've been learning the last 20 years to create. This is their baby project. They are planning on releasing a demo soon, which is going to have Joaquin's Promenade and Irenicus's Dungeon, if you remember that from the older Baldur's Gates, which is very exciting. They don't have a solid date on it, but they were planning mid-2025 back at the beginning of the year, and it sounds like they're only maybe a few months away from releasing that. So, big mod. I'm assuming it's free. I mean,
I don't know that you can charge for mod packs.
I don't think Larian had any intention of doing that like Skyrim did. So assuming it's free, I mean, this could easily be a near Baldur's Gate 3 main storyline sized mod that you just get to play through. So yeah, it sounds like they've made custom pretty much everything. There's new romances, a whole storyline, new items, all that. And what is it? Lotric, Lotrich has his own YouTube channel where he shows stuff off. I watched him do a walkthrough of Joaquin's Promenade, whole city, size of BG or Baldur's Gate, just handcrafted. It's nuts. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
and
that's sick.
Hopefully in a month or two, we'll be able to get our hands on it and give you a review.
Well, that's bad news for whoever's making Baldur's Gate 4.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I picture it's nobody.
modders.
Yeah, rough.
Yeah.
Now, I have a little something to talk about. Now, I was a little bit at war with myself over this because we know two of my favorite things to do are to really like Star Wars and to dump on Ubisoft. So I bought a game. The summer sale was happening, and I got it at, honestly, just the right price, half off. Mm-hmm. So in the low $30 range for Star Wars Outlaws. So guys, like I said, I love to dump on Ubisoft, and I spent a fair amount of time being leery of this game. I read, I think 4 pages of reviews. Now they have tipped to mostly positive on the Steam page, so that's that's good. Now I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of Star Wars Outlaws. So, right off the bat, an interesting new crime boss and a really cool intro into the story for the underworld of Star Wars, the vicious underbelly. So, right away, that's what's good. Is the Star Wars of it all, the backdrop. I'm having fun in it. It feels familiar. It feels like Star Wars. Like all the characters are there. Like all the weird aliens walking around. It's not just dudes in standard face masks. Like if you're watching the video, you're kind of seeing that there. But just walking around town feels very cool. What else is great? The goddamn fucking swoop bike. Finally, sweet Jesus, somebody got a swoop bike right. Now I'm not. It was excellent. So the controls are very similar to a Far Cry vehicle controls. Like you have the same kind of UI layout over on the side. And honestly, it is fun just rolling around in that. I spent at least an hour and a half doing just that, exploring on the swoop bike. What else is fun? Honestly, the crime boss interactions, like I haven't met a real crime boss. I've met an underboss or two, but it feels really fun to just fuck over the other crime syndicates. And I mean, your boy is of course going Crimson Dawn. I mean, Come on. What? Like I'm going to work for a fat slug. Not happening. Now, the last really, I think, fun and sort of ingenuitive thing, not quite super ingenuitive, but new for like an Ubisoft kind of feel, is that cute little bastard Nyx. So you don't have a droid, or at least I haven't gotten one yet. I'm about 12 hours in. I think I might get that battle droid looking guy here pretty soon, but I've only been playing for about 12 hours. But that cute little fucker Nyx is so much fun. He's very useful in distracting. He can fetch you things that are just you can't steal. You get to use some cool interacts with him and the environment. And he, of course, makes fun little noises and has interesting little quips when things are happening. Billionaires. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what's not so good? Some of the Ubisoftness of it is, of course, going to be there. So, I mean, the filler missions styled, of course, Far Cry or the glut of Assassin's Creed, right? Like
collect all these things, go to all these places.
Yeah, exactly. So there is those filler missions, and like so the great thing is you get to explore the cool places on your swoop bike while you're going to do it.
Sure,
but it's just like, okay, so your map bar kind of fills up with some of these filler missions. And again, it's a similar game loop to Assassin's Creed, to some of that Far Cry of it. So if you're not a big Star Wars fan, like that's the big draw for me, is the backdrop of the Star Wars. Like it's pretty. It's good so far, and it's enough to hold me at the price I got it is fucking great. There are some kind of weird animations, like when you're climbing and stuff like that. It looks like that was kind of an afterthought of it all. We're seeing, if you're watching, seeing a couple of the animations there, you'll see what I mean if you played the game. It's like they're a little wonky looking, nothing game breaking or
Just jank.
Just a little jank. Nothing's really ugly about the game. K-Vess is a fun protagonist to play as. And depending on how you want to, like, again, I'm not anywhere in game, but so far I'm playing like rogue smuggler. Like I am very much looking to help myself and see how far I can climb in the ranks. And it feels fun. And so, like, guys, right now the summer sale is on until the 10th. So jump in there, and if you've been hedging on this game, low $30 is a good price to pick it up at.
All right. Yeah, no, but I'm glad you're having fun with it. You get to experience another Star Wars.
Like we were saying outside, if all Ubisoft games were 20, 30, $40 max, that's perfect.
Yeah. For sure. It's always a pretty fun experience. You know what you're getting with an Ubisoft game because they're all effectively the same, but this one has a Star Wars skin on it, so it's same but different.
Bikes.
Yeah, that
same but different. So like I would compare it to my like Odyssey experience, right? I really like Greek Roman history, and so a game set in that backdrop kept my attention for longer, right? So this is doing that. And again, good so far. Good vehicles. I'm enjoying like this. They nailed the swoop bike finally.
Swoop bike.
Swoop bike.
I'm happy you're happy. Well, speaking about fat slugs, let's talk about Xbox for a minute. I honestly just felt I had to use that one. So, a lot of stuff coming out of Microsoft, especially today.
Employees.
But before we get to the sad part, let's talk about some fun and interesting stuff, huh? So we've talked about the ROG Ally. We know it as the ROG Ally. The ROG Ally. It's another Xbox. So there is an Xbox edition of the ROG Ally coming out relatively soon. No official release date on it yet. Still TBD on that one. But there is an Xbox not only themed but also custom operating systemed variant of the ROG Ally. So the specs are pretty much the same. So if you have if you know the ROG Ally X specs, that's 16 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte SSD running on an RDNA 3 GPU. It's got a 7-inch display. Not much there has changed except for the Xbox Ally X version is going to have 24 gigabytes of RAM instead of just 16. So that will help, especially with the higher resolutions and getting a little bit more out of your game. It does come with the, follow me here, AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme rather than just the base AMD Ryzen Z2A that is out on the ROG Ally X currently. So a little bit more powerful of a processor. But as far as looks go, it looks like an ROG Ally with an Xbox button. Now, that Xbox button takes you specifically to the built-in Xbox app that's running on a custom variant of Windows 11, specifically designed for gaming handhelds.
Okay.
Now, this sounds like they have plans, maybe a lot like SteamOS, to get this on other handhelds. So there may be additional handhelds in the works that will be able to run this operating system, maybe even not Xbox themed. So that's kind of exciting news.
All games will be Xbox.
Well, and to be honest, man, to be able to play, because it's an ROG Ally and you should be able to play games from other launchers, because it should have at least some of the base Windows functionality, to add Game Pass on top of that and then just built-in Xbox functionality, it is technically a more performant and more functional version of the ROG Ally X. Yeah. So for what it's worth, it does sound like it's going to be kind of the cream of the crop as far as the gaming handheld experience goes. Now, It does look effectively just like an ROG Ally. I've got mock-ups here on the screen. This is the final version of the device. It does look like it comes with a little bit better grips than the ROG Ally. In fact, it's got Xbox-style grips on either side. So it may even be a little bit nicer to hold in the hand, as well as having a few physical changes, just like the Xbox button. But it does very much look like a slightly newer, like little bit more advanced version of the ROG Ally X that exists already. Now, remember, everything is an Xbox. That includes the MetaQuest 3. So there is an Xbox version of the MetaQuest 3 coming out later this year. It's a custom 128 gigabyte MetaQuest 3S in Xbox Carbon Black and Velocity Green. That is effectively where the Xbox branding and Xbox-ness stops. It is essentially the base MetaQuest 3S. It does come. Sorry, if you have.
I was going to say it was an Xbox paint job.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, it does come with a few things. It does come, which the standard package doesn't. It does come with a MetaQuest Elite strap. The Elite strap is actually usually $90 additional charge because it's the one that's supposed to take all the pressure off your face, so it redistributes it more evenly across your head. So it should be more comfortable than the base package of the MetaQuest 3S. Additionally, it comes with 3 months of Meta Horizon Plus. That's the Meta subscription model service for your headset. It also comes with 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate, and it comes with a limited Xbox Edition wireless controller. So for the games that can't be played in VR and you're just going to use it essentially as an advanced TV, it does come with an Xbox controller. You don't have to provide that separately. It is nice that it all comes in the same package, I suppose. So it is essentially like a bundled deal. It's like what
estimated price?
No, not yet. They said that the pricing is actually going to be fairly similar to the already pre-existing package of the MetaQuest 3S, with the Elite strap. So it sounds like it shouldn't be any more. It sounds like you're basically getting that and a free Xbox controller.
Okay.
So that's neat, I guess. It's not going to have any custom software to it or anything like that. It is going to have Game Pass or the Xbox launcher on it natively. So I guess that's a little bit different than the Meta Quest 3S, though you are able to download the Xbox App Store on the Meta Quest 3S already. So this is essentially what you might already have plus an Xbox controller.
Well, here's one for free, Microsoft. That's the MetaQuest. And the other one's the ROG.
That's right, the MetaQuest and the ROG. Yeah. A couple interesting things. Like they also acknowledged that because they're going out to third-party resources for their hardware now, that they are still working very heavily on the next iteration of the Xbox. Now, they continue to say that they're going to be launching new hardware, and they're not being specific about what kind of hardware, whether it's a console or not. It sounds like basically, based on everything they have to say, that it is going to be much more reminiscent of a gaming PC than it is an Xbox console. I don't know whether that means modular parts or not. I doubt it. If they are modular, they're going to be probably very custom. So maybe you'll be able to upgrade your Xbox. That's all conjecture. The rumor mill is abound with rumors of the next Xbox console, but they have confirmed that they are working on the next generation of hardware, and that's the news from that. One last thing from Microsoft. Sadly, they are letting go of 9,100 employees today. I told you we'd get to the sad stuff eventually. So along with all the cool hardware news over the last few weeks, unfortunately, a lot of people just lost their jobs. Now, as far as the gaming division, it hasn't been announced exactly how many people have lost their jobs in the gaming division, but they have closed a lot and canceled a lot. So this year we've seen Raven Software go away. Turn 10 Studios had significant layoffs, like 50% of their staff. They killed Everwild, being developed by Rare, a game that was originally shown off in 2019. It's been like We showed that
time.
in the first few episodes of the video version of this podcast. I think maybe even before we were Video Game Tango.
Perfect Dark fades to black.
Yeah, Perfect Dark. So there's no more Perfect Dark anymore. It's interesting times. I mean, they're getting rid of a lot of the games.
That had a demo, didn't it? Like just a trailer or whatever. Like I remember seeing a thing for it. We talked about it.
The new
we
Elder
did. We
Scrolls.
talked about a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's they don't have anything that you can actually get your hands on. Apparently, there's big layoffs at Sledgehammer Games. Okay, but yeah, they're canceling games that have been like,
Yeah. Half a decade.
yeah, and we've been waiting for with bated breath. So serious stuff happening at Microsoft. I mean, it could be a condition of grew too big too fast.
Yeah. Economy.
Yeah, the economy. Oh my God, the press release. Don't read if you value your psyche, don't read the press release. Phil Spencer kept saying things like agile in the marketplace and boost our agility and
We're really going to work on our free throws.
right. He's just talking about being able to navigate the space as it is in the modern era. When in the last 4 years they've let go of 25,000 people. It's 15,000 people laid off from Microsoft just this year. 15,100 estimated.
Lord.
So, yeah, just from Microsoft. Again, not all their gaming division, but kudos to everybody that's been working hard for this long, and we wish all of you luck. But that's all of the Microsoft news for now. Well, technically, my next one is Microsoft news. But only just
It's
technically.
all Microsoft.
Well,
news.
Microsoft
No.
owns everything.
Speaking of employees, I know of one Gate research facility that's about to get a lot more new hires. Abiotic Factor kind of surprised announced that their next major update is going to be the update that launches them into 1.0. And as far as I am aware, it is as soon as July 22nd. That is 20 days away from the time of this podcast. Let me tell you, Abiotic Factor has been an absolute gem. My brother and I have gone back and played it through every major update. Each update was probably 3 to 5 play sessions worth of stuff. And it is, how's the words I want to use? It is definitely a survival crafting game, but they have done it in such a way where it's not the focus. There is a plot and new unique areas and all kinds of puzzles and neat creatures to fight and things to figure out, and nothing's explained to you in depth, so you get to experience and discover things for yourself. There's so many times Adam and I are just like, what is this new thing? Accidentally finding out we can make a toilet that whatever you put into it goes to another dimension. And then accidentally finding out if you fall into it too many times, sometimes you go to the poop dimension and it's just an island in a sea of infinite poop, right? Little stuff like that. There's funny stuff, but there's also spooky stuff. You play as a pair of old scientists in essentially what amounts to Black Mesa Research Facility from Half-Life. And the power level of your characters has significantly grown with every major update. You start with literal handmade weapons out of office supplies, and you eventually do get guns and whatnot, but you never really feel powerful. They have kind of made an iconic look for the game, developed quite the cult following. They're constantly showing off fan-made creations, artwork, whatnot, and I just love the game. It's in my top whatever games of all time. I've enjoyed the heck out of it, and I highly recommend it, especially because it's also coming to consoles on July 22nd when they release in 1.0.
Good for them.
One other thing that the company, I wish I could remember off the top of my head who's doing it, is they've always had a really good roadmap, and they have stuck to it almost perfectly, and their roadmap continues into 1.1. They're going to keep adding content. 1.0 is just a major update. I mean, the game was worth a 1.0 in my opinion at essentially version 0.5. It had enough content for easily 40 to 60 hours.
Yeah, I mean, they've had 2 major almost expansion size releases since since
Adam and I
launch, right?
have to be well over 100 hours into the game, and it's not even done yet. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's not perfect. Every game's got its jank, but none of the jank in this game is that frustrating. Except don't bother training your strength skill.
Yeah.
I fell into that trap. It's still next to useless unless you're going to, just bash things with a club. So
Yeah, do science.
which doesn't really work when you start fighting SCP monsters and whatnot.
Word.
Yeah. So excited for that.
Well, a little other excitement here. If you're one of the 35 people still playing Red Dead Online, then you already know what I'm fucking talking about. The first trailer since 2021 for Red Dead Online dropped, so it's showing some signs of life. It's a Weird West themed. Like there's
I
kind
love
of
Weird West.
a plaguey kind of thing you got to deal with. You got to go find some cryptids, but holy crap, they're doing something with Red Dead Online. Now this has like the 38 people who are playing this Red Dead Online version. Now hopefully it'll be more. Like it lure you back in with some content. That's how they get you. That's how they should get you. It's with content. So that is good.
Not with lassos.
Not with lassos. That's bad. So it's gonna Strange Tales of the West will require steely resolve and courage in the face of the odd, twisted, and downright supernatural. Embark on these 4 new Telegram missions by picking up Mr. Levins. This is Theodore Levin is a guy in the game that you can pick, a mail carrier. So that's who you're going to be picking up these Telegram missions for. And the most interesting thing about it is it says Volume 1.
Oh.
Now, Volume 1 implies that there's at least a Volume 2.
Yeah.
So not only is there...
I mean, we're guaranteed to get that before Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, that's kind of the strange thing is that when you would think there'd be all hands on deck right before the GTA 6 release, they're giving us Red Dead fans out here some new stuff to do online. Now, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, the most hopeful people in gaming think that this could mean that there could be a Night of the Living Undead, Red Dead, Undead Red Dead 2, Volume 2, some DLC for it.
Yeah, from the first one.
Right? Like, how crazy would that be? It would be crazy. What this is probably just like goosing the numbers for a port for the new gen of stuff. So.
Yeah, I could absolutely see. It's called Undead Nightmare.
Yes, Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, because they put out Red Dead or Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption 1 just recently on PC, like less than a year ago. So yeah, I mean they might be onto something.
That would be crazy. I would love to have an extended set of missions for the Undead Nightmare here.
Yeah,
that would be great. That'd be
Definitely.
great. So a little bit of love. Look forward to playing it if you already have it there. But yeah.
Well, I'm wanting to do it. If I'm not talking about rebirthing, I'm talking about World of Warcraft. So
He did it. He pulled the trigger.
I did it. So it was literally for the podcast. Okay, I was like, you know what? I should check out this thing because it's something that I want to check out, and it's a video game to talk about. Yeah. So I tried the one button rotation World of Warcraft new feature. It's called Assisted Rotation Assistant, and honestly, I like it a lot. I'm a bit of a WoW purist, a bit of a grognard. I yearn for the good old days. I want to go back to the grind. All this newfangled fancy stuff and cutscenes, it turns me off a little bit. But you know what? I like this feature. I like it quite a bit. Now, World of Warcraft for a long time has suffered from button bloat. You have too many goddamn buttons. I can't play World of Warcraft without an MMO mouse. To have to get new hardware just because you're like, I don't have enough key binds available to me, holding Control, Alt, and or Shift It's too many. I'm a relatively experienced World of Warcraft raider and a relatively experienced World of Warcraft arena player. I do a lot of aggressive PvP and have a lot of fun there. And this isn't for that. But in order to get to that point, you have to level character. And I have found myself leveling 6 characters to max level in the last couple of weeks. It's been a whole thing. So it's relatively easy. It's actually in gameplay enhancements under Combat Assistant in your menus. You turn that on, and it turns essentially what should be a damage rotation for a DPS class into one button. I've actually got a video up here that I showed playing my Paladin with it, just to give it like a quick little showing. They've added some additional features on top of the single button rotation. They have added a cooldown bar and a suggested or assisted highlight feature. The assisted highlight feature, if you're not down for the single button rotation, will show you, based on World of Warcraft's general knowledge of itself, what button you should press next to be most effective in damage. If you're not into that, you can, of course, this is opt-in. You don't have to turn those on. But there are 2 accessibility features, making the game much more accessible to not only the less accessible, but to new players, I think. To be able to see what World of Warcraft suggests as your next bit of rotation to maximize your DPS output. I think that's a relatively cool thing. Like, it could teach new incoming players how better to play their character, or give people that aren't, that need some handy capable features to better play World of Warcraft. Of course, this is World of Warcraft, so people have already like min-maxed the shit out of this, and they know everything about it. They've run this sim through like millions of simulation attempts. They find that most classes receive a like 5 to 15 damage per second decrease, or 5 to 15% rather, is the damage decrease for DPS classes. That I think is understandable. I don't think you're ever going to be good with this single button as somebody that's like a hardcore raider or a hardcore PvPer.
It really, to me, sounds like the best case scenario.
I agree.
Because if it was perfect, then you're turning the game into RuneScape.
Right.
Which RuneScape is fine,
Sure.
but it's not World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
And if it was much worse than 5, 10, 15%, no one would use it.
Right, and it just wouldn't be an efficient
So like you said,
thing.
especially for those people learning the game, it's like, here's how to get an A-. We'll teach you. If you want an A+, learn it yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think that's actually a really nice feature. Now, you're never going to be able to PvP with this. Too much of your work requires crowd control, etc. And it doesn't do that for you. This thing isn't smart enough to know when to use Frost Nova or when to use Hammer of Justice. So it's never going to work for that. I don't know that. Well, I can't say never, but it's not likely to ever work for that. It is going to be a DPS loss. You're never going to be at the highest level of rating in all likelihood. But for normal difficulty stuff, I think this is a great thing. I think this will make some of the content just a little bit more accessible to people. And then for those that think that this is like the end of WoW as we know it, which we'll get more into that in a second. For those of you that think this is going to be the end of WoW as we know it, I don't think the skill in World of Warcraft has necessarily been to know when to press your buttons for a long time. It's been in avoiding mechanics or using like outside of your rotation, knowing what buttons to use when. So I think this just adds accessibility. I really don't think it's going to be at detriment for anybody. In fact, it may mean more people are going to be around to play with you at a semi-high level, right?
Yeah.
For all those people running Mythic keys, like you can absolutely run Mythic 10 plus with these. And that just means there's more people to pull from to do that content. So I think it's honestly good all around. It's hard for me to think of any negatives other than this isn't how I used to play World of Warcraft. Speaking of how I used to play World of Warcraft, just real quick. Add-ons.
Add-ons.
Add-ons have been an absolute necessity for anybody playing World of Warcraft. At the very minimum, you need DPS meters. You need everybody has weak auras. If you're in even a semi-serious guild that does raiding content, they usually have their own site or some kind of resource that says these are the minimum required add-ons for you to even play with us. The guys at Blizzard have decided that they're going to be getting rid of almost all combat and aura-related add-ons. Anything that measures your the auras you have or the buffs or debuffs that you have, that API will no longer exist for add-ons. Same thing with things like deadly boss mods that tell you when something is coming. They won't tell you when something's coming anymore. They are disabling the API that allows auras and combat mods, which is interesting because add-ons have been a requirement in World of Warcraft for a long time. Now, they aren't just getting rid of them, they are adding add-ons themselves. And by that, I mean they're just adding the functionality of these add-ons into the game. Now, that doesn't include things like weak auras. Weak auras, for anybody that's in the know, essentially allows you to create your own add-ons with an interface in the game. Weak auras is an exceptionally powerful tool that in some cases makes it so you don't have to play the game. And the funny thing about the people that are complaining about the single button rotation is that they've been using weak auras for years to effectively play the game for them at the highest level. So calm down, calm your tits a little bit. Not only that, but if you're watching the screen, if you can see this, there's too much fucking stuff on the screen.
This looks like Path.
Dude,
Where do you think Path got it?
Yes, 100%. It's absolutely bananas, the additional stuff that you need to be adding on your screen just to be considered like a viable raider in World of Warcraft. There is too much going on. There's too much already to pay attention to in the battlefield. There's no fucking way that everybody is looking at every resource at all time. In fact, some of these, I literally have some of these highest end raiders up on screen right now at the moment. Some of them are giving identical information at the same time. You just don't need that much. And to be honest, if we want these encounters to be more accessible to more people in more ways, let's get rid of the things that are, let's reduce the difficulty that requires these things in raids. World of Warcraft designers have been designing this game around add-ons now for like 15 years. With the ability to have these add-ons, they've had to take that into account when managing difficulty in all of these encounters. If you get rid of the add-ons and allow Blizzard to change the UI to make it a little bit better, they can change the difficulty of the encounters and make them more complex potentially for the mythic raiders that enjoy that kind of challenge, and a little bit less complex for those that don't. Without just modifying HP, they can actually change mechanics in the game, which is nice. I think it's about time, to be quite honest. A lot of people haven't been playing World of Warcraft in years. They have been playing an add-on simulator.
And realistically, they have to keep changing. If they don't, they're just going to fall behind as Final Fantasy XIV and other games keep pushing the limit of what an MMO looks like nowadays. I'm not talking about tonight, but the new Dune MMO is popping off. There's a lot of people I trust on YouTube are like, this game's got some legs to it. We'll see where it goes. They just had a major overhaul to their end game zone based off player feedback regarding PvP and PvE and the mix of two. And they just pulled the trigger on it. Like, you guys asked this, let's try it out, It is looking like a lot of fun, and now there's another contender in the ring. Blizzard's got to do something, because while World of Warcraft still has a healthy population, there's 2 events going on right now, and there are so many people playing, like especially in the more populated areas, and it's a very well populated game. But it's full of the most hardcore. Like, at the end of the day, the game needs to be more accessible to ever get new players. If they want to make it to their 3rd decade, accessibility is going to be very important, because newer and newer MMOs are going to be easier and easier to onboard. Nobody wants to jump into a multiplayer game where everyone else just groks it internally from playing it for 20 years, and you have to deal with like what you showed,
Right.
You know,
Well, and Josh jumped into retail World of Warcraft shortly, and just the difference between that and the Wrath of the Lich King private server that we were playing on, just the complexity and the button bloat that there was. Like, there was a hard transition. WoW is a
Honestly,
difficult thing
something
to
like
get
this
into.
I might have been able to stick it out.
I honestly think if the single button rotation had been around, it probably would have been a way easier.
Your transition for me into playing something like that.
Right. Because, I mean, you play God of War just fine.
Yeah.
God of War has one attack button. You essentially change stances with the different weapons that you use. Now, there are combos, etc. But, like, most of these fighting games, they have one spammable button, right, that you're going to be using to gain energy, that you're going to be using to gain mana, whatever. There's usually a spam button on any kind of game that's got like visceral third-person combat. So I think that this, there's no excuse to dislike this really, or no reason to really dislike this, other than the fact that it isn't the World of Warcraft that you know. So I'm looking forward to these changes. I've been having a lot of fun with them. Like I said, I'm on character 6 max level, and I'm gonna keep going.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I got one new game that caught my attention. I remember watching the trailer a little bit ago, but they just fully announced it. Owlcat Games of Rogue Trader and Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous fame has announced a new Expanse game, the Expanse Osiris Reborn. The trailer, I think, came out not too long ago, but it does have a little bit of gameplay at the end. The cinematic is very pretty. And it is going to be a game that takes place in parallel with the first 2 seasons of the show. So you are going to be playing yourself and your crew right alongside in the same time period as what is happening in the show, including Eros and the whole Eros situation, the Rocinante, the Canterbury, all that. And it's going to play a part in the game. But it is going to be very Mass Effect-y, running a party. One of the things the dev said is that the party system is going to be similar to Persona series, Persona 5, and that if you only have 3 people you're bringing into like an event, your other characters, crew members, aren't just going to stand around. They go do things on their own or have other missions. The game does not have a class system. It is a very open, quote, system allowing you to build whatever character you like. Your weapons and your equipment, which everything from, the traditional military gear to sci-fi stuff like auto-targeting jet-propelled grenades, drones, things like that, are going to make up a big part of how you approach the game. The proto-molecule is going to be in there. You're going to have to deal with that. And everything of what I've seen in the game is looking pretty promising. There are a couple dev interviews on YouTube. I think I saw one here at a Cornacker TV has one with one of the devs, about a half hour long. The only downside, which I'm glad they're admitting it now, is there is not going to be any ship-to-ship combat. It sounds like they really wanted to focus on the in-person experience and didn't want to risk having to make 2 systems and have one of them suffer for it. But the game is pretty as heck. Like I said, there's only about maybe 10, 15 seconds of gameplay at the end of the trailer, but it's gorgeous. And it seems to be following in the hard sci-fi roots. They mentioned that a few times in the interview. And I think this is the first Expanse game, other than like the TTRPG they made a couple years back, I can think of. And Owlcat Games, if you like crunchy games, they're pretty good at it. Wrath of the Righteous was good of what I played of it, but it ran like crap on my computer, so I didn't get very far into it. And I played quite a bit of Rogue Trader, both of which the Pathfinder game was based off the Pathfinder TTRPG, and Rogue Trader was based off the Warhammer Rogue Trader TTRPG. So they know their crunch. And for me, it's exciting to kind of see an attempt at a classless system. Games of this nature traditionally have a class or, a little contained area to build your character in. So to take that attempt at making it classless and more freeform, hopefully pans out. We'll see. But yeah, I love the Expanse universe. This is great.
Same.
I love hard sci-fi, and it's rare we get video games in that vein,
Yeah.
So
It's awesome, man.
no release date on that yet. I mean, they just announced it.
Yeah.
So
They've only just put out a trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the Future Games show. But
Well, real quick before we go, because that is pretty much it for the evening. If you haven't, which you probably had because you're here, but if you haven't heard about the Stop Killing Games initiative, make sure to check that out. We're not going to talk about it necessarily at length, but we will have reminders throughout the rest of the month. The month is drawing near, and the petition has to be finished by the end of July, so by July 31st. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Because they're at 924,741 out of 1 million signatures. Yeah. That's gone up by nearly 100,000 signatures today.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So if you're part of the EU.
Yeah, because in the last 2 days, they've gone from 51% to 92%. So hopefully that momentum continues and the EU can see how serious this is. If you care about video game ownership, this is really, really important. So if you live in the EU, make sure to jump over and sign this petition because all it does is ensure that you are going to be able to play your games in nearly perpetuity. So it just makes sure that game developers can't kill a game and you never have access to it again. So whether that be fan controlled or by the company themselves, it just means that they have some obligation to keep their game in some kind of playable state.
And hats off to Ross Scott, the head of Stop Killing Games. From everything I gathered, if you had to put in a nutshell, this was just a dude that cared. And he's like, nobody else seems to be doing this. Mm-hmm. I'm not the person to do this. He said that up front. I don't have the skills. I don't have the personality, but someone's got to do it. Yeah. And been through a lot of ringers. There's been a lot of tension on this, and I'll just leave it at most people who have anything detractive to say about it probably have money in the game. If you care about preserving video game history, about games being playable once a company decides to stop supporting them, check it out. Look into it. Watch Ross Scott's stuff. And I didn't have a single question that came to mind not answered by Ross Scott. And it's all very quite reasonable from a civilian consumer perspective.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Even just down to dole out your code base once you stop supporting the servers so somebody can host it if they want to. Yeah. As simple as that, right? Yeah. And it allows them to, because previously that may have meant that they had to let go of their trademark.
And the most important thing about this, it's just an initiative.
Yeah.
The wording of the initiative is not the law. We're just trying to get this into the courts so that something can be done about it. And everything that Stop Killing Games is asking to do is a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Unfortunately, the legislation that we're looking at trying to promote can't happen in the U.S. But if the EU and the U.K., which it is going in front of U.K. legislators soon, the EU petition is still ongoing, but that should, if another few thousand people, and it should go in front of EU legislators, it should mean that they at least have to pay attention. They at least have to acknowledge that this may be a problem because they're not in the know. They do have to be told that this is an ongoing problem, and hopefully there's at least some kind of level of investigation into how these practices are handled, and hopefully there's work done on bettering that practice, because you should own your game if you buy it.